too deep into it. It's not testable. It's one of those technologies that Cisco has that I truly hate. Like I was telling everybody previously, I really cannot stand a lot of Cisco's products. Some of the things that they make are great. They're wonderful. They've been around for decades, quite literally decades. And some things they make suck. And I will not drink the Cisco Kool-Aid just to drink the Cisco Kool-Aid. I will, typically when Cisco comes out with a brand new product, don't ever put it in your network. Because the way Cisco develops products is they get it to beta, and beta testing is usually the first 5 customers that they have sold it to. Okay? So, they did that with their phone system, they did it with their physical security camera system, they did it with NAC, they did it with Mars. It was just, I've seen too many nightmares. And NAC was one of those nightmares, and I was the unfortunate project manager that actually put it into one of the first customers, a very large credit union here in Southern California, and it just failed miserably. So it did not perform as promised. And the customer ended up putting it back in the boxes, sending it back to Cisco, and it didn't work. Same thing happened with their phone system, Call Manager 2.0 back in 2002 when I first tried it. And I called Cisco TAC, and I basically said the phones don't work. He goes, what do you mean the phones don't work? I go, I put everything in, I went through the guidelines, pick up the receiver, I don't hear dial tone. Phones don't work. And they said, did you buy dial tone? What do you mean, did I buy dial tone? Did you buy and download the .wave dial tone file? I said, you gotta be bleeping kidding me. I gotta buy dial tone? Yes, you had to buy dial tone back then. So, Cisco does some really retarded things. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna start working a little bit on lab 2. Okay? And I'm going to kind of cut to the chase. I'm not going to sit here and type commands. Because I want to get into the second part of the lecture, which is much more interesting than this. But I do want to go through what I did in setting this up. Okay, so I drag an ASA firewall over. I drag 2 switches over. Connected the switches with the connector tool, the add link tool. I drag two clouds over. Now what I do with the clouds is in cloud 1, under NIO Ethernet, I set cloud 1 to my actual Ethernet adapter. My Intel Gigabit network adapter. Okay? Now, once I was done with that, when I brought up that adapter, I did an IP config all on that's cool. On that adapter, I had a 134.71.237 address. I got an address here from the DHCP pool on Cal Poly's now. So I just went up one address from that to .243, and I grabbed it. Okay, and then I took that address and I put it and applied it to my outside interface. Named it, applied that IP address. Okay, so in your lab, if you do this lab at home, which is great, if you want to change this address, this network to whatever's on your network at home, and if you leave that in your config, that's fine. I will not mark off against you, okay? Because it'll be easier for you to change this in GNS3 than it will to change your home network probably. I don't want you breaking your home network on my account. So if you change this outside network to match your network of your house or here on campus or whatever, that's perfectly fine. You will not lose points for that. Okay? So then, I made a username root in GNS3 as the password. I went through these two web pages. So what I did here was basically I did a example search. Remote access VPN configuration ASA. So if you go to cisco.com, put that in the search pane, remote access VPN configuration ASA, this first link that you come to is where I went. Write that down, take a picture of it, do what you got to do to remember it, that's what you need. Okay? That will take you through the entire list, the entire set of commands that you need to do. Okay, if you go to right here, configure the ASA fix. Alright. Start from here, number 1, go through these 10 steps, or 13 steps. Alright, put them in. Now there may be a couple of minor changes where you go through and you hit a command and it doesn't work. Kind of delete the last command, like I think this was one of them. You give your group name and then you go to IPsec-RA. In the ASA version I give you, you have to put type in between here. Type IPsec-RA. So if you have something that doesn't work, back up 1, space, question mark, see if it is close. You'll probably have to tweak it just slightly. But there's only like 2 commands this entire set that are like that. That right there, the tunnel group, IPsec-RA is one of them.
Quick question, I was trying to drag the ASA into GNS3 and it said please configure ASA. Is that described in lab 3 or is that something?
No, you must not have been here last class.
I wasn't here Tuesday.
Oh, I
Okay.
went over that on Tuesday.
Okay, I'll get the video for something going.
Okay, so basically what you do there is you have to download a couple of files from my website,
Okay,
put them in the
got it.
configuration, set it up, and then you can drag it over. It'll pop up. There's a mount command that you have to do when you initially go into the shell to fully initialize it.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. Alright. Over here on C2, I have a VM running. I have a couple VMs running. Just a second. Sorry. Okay. I have this one here, and I can ping the inside of my ASA. Okay? So, when all is said and done, you do all those commands, You then have to grab your the client from my website, the Cisco VPN client, install it. You will click New. Let's delete this here real fast. You'll click New. You'll give it an entry name. This host is your IP address. So mine's 134.71.237.243. The name, when you go through the config, you set up a group policy. Okay, which is CIS 467. That's what you want to put here under name. And your password, which is your pre-shared key, which is Cisco. That's right in the lab. Okay. I keep everything else kind of copacetic there. Now what I don't have working is the return route in the ASA. So what I have to do here is route 0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0 134.71. Whatever my address is. .134.71. That's my wireless. Sorry. 134.71. 237.242.
That's the original address you were assigned, not the one you grabbed, right?
Yeah, that's on my Ethernet adapter, not the one I assigned to the PIX or the ASA. Okay. All right. So I'm still having issues. It's not allowing me to connect. It's timing out, and I don't know why. I have not troubleshot it. This is giving me a connection error. Even though I can ping the device, have it set up, I don't know why it's not communicating back to my adapter. Okay. Remote peer is not responding. There's a log that you can go through. That you can debug stuff with. So this look tells me it's more of a layer 2 problem because I'm seeing all these MAC. This is a broadcast address. And that might be because of the local network I'm on. So, what I also did on the ASA is I showed everybody how to set up SSH. So, SSH moving forward is the preferred method of remote access. So this screen here I just went to Google SSH on ASA how to. It's the first one that pops up. There's a few sets of commands that you have to do. You have to make a username and password, which I've already done. Root and GNS3 is the password. You have to do a AAA authentication, SSH, console, local, which is in the ASA. Show run. Look for my AAA commands. It's right there. Okay. Okay. That's the command I ran. I set a default enable password to Cisco. And then I did the crypto key generation, which is used for SSH. Alright? I had to set that at 1024 bits. It's the minimum you can do. So, crypto key generate RSA modulus, and then the size. Oh, might help if I'm in crypto key generate RSA mod. Alright, and 1024 is what you should use. You want to replace your key? Yes, I want to replace my key. I've replaced my RSA key. And then I just have to tell it from what networks and from what interface I allow SSH connections. So I've done this already in the ASA. This is right here. So you see that I have the two networks. I have the outside network, 134.71. I made that just the class B. And the 172.21.10 class C from the inside. So, from here, I can now go back to my VM, and I have an SSH client inherent in Linux on this box. So I'm just typing SSH 172.21.10. Whatever he is. .1. Says connection refused. Wonder why that is. Hold on a second. Let me try something. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know why this is refusing it. But I did this test from the outside. 243 is my outside host, right? And it worked fine. It's going to generate, show me my RSA 1024 key right there. The hash. Continue. Log in with root, and GNS3 is my credentials. I'm in the RSA. Excuse me, the ASA. Enable, and now it's just like I was putting in. If I went and looked at the run, see that I'm on the same box. I don't know why I can't SSH from my Linux box, so that's kind of disheartening. Well, questions on that? Okay. No? Good. Now we get into the fun stuff. So, one of the things that we're going to work on here when we get to Lab 5 is we're going to work with Backtrack. Alright? Backtrack is a Linux distribution that is a specifically modded distribution that has a lot of applications on it. So, if you go to www.backtrack-linux.org/downloads, I highly, highly, highly suggest, and well, I don't suggest, I demand, that you get the following set. Okay? Backtrack 5R2. No. Doesn't matter if you want to do 64-bit or 32-bit architecture, either one is fine. And VMware. Download this sucker. Okay?
Excuse me.
Download this. Save it into your virtual machines folder and mount it from VM Player. Okay? Alright? You can run multiple VM players. Alright? You can run multiple VM players. I'm running VM Workstation. You can run multiple VM players and have two VMs running on the same virtual network. Why is that important? Well, you are going to get a, if you haven't already done so, remember that VM that we made for the ACS server? That 2003 box? Everybody remember that? Well, that's this box. Okay? So, with this system, we're also going to be doing some stuff with logging, and I've installed Splunk on here. Made this kind of look a little robust device. Alright? It has one downfall to it though. Okay? If you go to computer properties, right? Other than its name being target, what do you see wrong with this? Anybody see something wrong? Inherently wrong? No.
Isn't there a more recent version than that? Like
Hey! Typically, you don't see Microsoft Windows Server 2003 Standard Edition running around wild on the internet. You don't. Okay? Very old. Very, 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 very old. Okay? So old, in fact, you'll notice that it doesn't have something down here. A firewall. Standard Edition does not come inherent with a firewall until Service Pack 2. So, that's for a reason. Okay? Now, you can grab this off of MSDN, this exact same version. Alright, and you need to for Lab 5. And load it up. Just standard load, make an administrator, next, done, give it an IP address, get it on the same network as your Backtrack. Okay? Matter of fact, this guy's 172, 2110, 129, right? And let's just take a real quick look here at Task Manager. No applications running, performance is doing pretty good. I don't have very much memory tied to this guy, only a gig. 1 active user. Look at my processes. 36 processes, right? Okay? Keep that in mind. With Backtrack, okay, I have to be able to hit that server, and I can ping that server, so I have connectivity to it. That's the most important. That's the most important thing starting out this lab. You have to have connectivity to that Windows box from Backtrack. Okay. Then we're going to start this application under Exploitation Tools, Network Exploitation Tools, Metasploit Framework, Armitage. Okay, Armitage is a front end for the Metasploit framework. What the Metasploit framework is, it is a set of hacking tools developed by a company called Rapid7. All right, it is used for vulnerability analysis, penetration testing, network scanning. It's got damn near everything but the kitchen sink in it. It's a great, great, great tool. Anybody ever heard of it before? Armitage? No? Okay, fine. So you click on that. You'll get a database thing that you have to log into. You set that up initially. I'll do that later on in another class. But you come to this front end. Alright? So, I'm a bad guy. I know that I found a network, and I think that there's a vulnerable system on it. So, what's the first thing I have to do? Got to find the system, right? So, if I go to Hosts and Nmap scan, do an intent scan, I just put, if I plug in the IP address of the IP network, for speed's sake, I'm just going to plug in the exact IP address because I don't want to be here all night. I start that scan. Okay. This is going to run for a few minutes. While it's running, let me just kind of run through some of the other things that Backtrack has in it. Okay. There's all kinds of fun stuff that you can play with, from stress testing tools, forensics. Okay, there's Wireshark, TCP replay, password forensics tools, digital forensics tool, HexEdit, TrueCrypt. I love TrueCrypt. Great tool. Anybody ever use it? It's an encryption software. Okay, it's so damn good, FBI can't defeat it. There's been documented cases where people have used TrueCrypt to encrypt hard drives, and it has such a good cryptographic algorithm in it. You can't, unless you have the password, you can't decrypt it. Okay. Okay, network analysis. There's a lot of good DNS, SMB, SMTP, SNMP, SSL, telephony analysis, VoIP analysis, VPN analysis, tools in here. Okay. There's a lot of MSSQL and MySQL analysis. There's an SQL map, which is really good if you have access to a web form and you want to check out SQL injection attacks. SQL map is a really good one to use against Apache PHP or IIS.net enabled web pages. Okay, also web application analysis. There's a good one in here there's a lot of good web crawlers and everything else. Okay, so got this popped up. Looks like my scan completed. That's great. So use attacks and find attack to suggest applicable exploits for your target. So now you see that this target is popped up here in my screen. So if I right click on it, if I go up here and go to attacks and click find attacks, it'll run an analysis real quick, and you'll now see an attack menu attached to each host in the target window. Happy hunting. Now if I go into that target and I right click, I see, ooh, I have all these different types of things running here. And it looks like I can try a lot of different things. Well, this is where it gets really, really, really fun. Okay? I have these attacks, these vulnerabilities, based on the analysis that it's done for its operating system, the ports that are open, and any type of applications it's been able to sense that are running on that server. So I'm going to use a very common attack that I know is susceptible to Microsoft Platforms 2003 and 2000. And that's the MS-08 NetAppy attack. I'm going to click on that. When the attack shell opens up, or the attack screen opens up, you need to check that, okay, here's the source, there's my source IP address, there's the IP address of my target, there's a remote port I'm going for. I want to set up a reverse connection, I'll let it auto-target, or I can tell it specifically what type of system. It's nice to just use auto-targeting at first. You can get specific if it doesn't work. I got lunch. Goes through, it tries to open up a interpreter. Oh, we got it. Now has an interpreter session. So, now, when I right click on it, you see I have an interpreter session here. A lot of things I can do. Okay? Alright? One of the easiest things to do is to open up a command shell. Windows/System32. Let's go back to the root directory, do a quick directory. As you can see, these are all the different files, right, that I have within my directory structure. You see that it's the ACS server. Don't believe me? Let's come back here and bring up the command prompt. Same all the way. If I look at my processes, you now see that I have 2 command shells. Well, wait a second, I only have 1 command shell running concurrently. It's because the interpreter session of the attacking box has the other. Right.
One running as a system?
Sorry?
Is the one running as a system?
Yep. So if I killed this one, right? It's running as a system, not as administrator. Okay? So that's a telltale sign. So I don't want to keep that system open I don't want to keep that shell open very long because somebody might be able to detect me. So I need to do whatever I need to do really quick from the command line, like change the administrator password, or set up my own user with administrative privileges, right? Set up RDP, remote desktop procedure, right? Or set up a VNC session, okay? So that I can guarantee that I can hold administrative access to that system. Now once I'm done doing whatever I'm doing, such as, I can escalate privileges. Look at get system. I can also browse files, show processes, log keystrokes. So I can import a keylogger into the system. So now it's recording keystrokes and they're being saved to that file. Root ms4 loot text. So now I go back to this screen, and all of a sudden I say I need to write a notepad. Okay, and I can go in here. Need to set password to Cisco 123 instead of changing. If I now go back to my Linux box, go to my root shell, and go to that